makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation with Tiffany Houser. She is the founder and CEO of Evolve, where they coach teams and companies to retain top talents and develop leaders. Hi Tiffany, you are the founder and CEO of Evolve and a transformational leadership coach. And I'm excited because I love talking to other leaders and to learn more about the amazing work they are doing and also how do they get into leadership. So I am curious to know what led you to starting a career in leadership.
Oh, that's such a great question. It was my clients. I started off as a health and lifestyle coach, and it quickly transpired into what they were experiencing at work, what they were experiencing professionally, and specifically for women, what was our calling? You know, how do we want to spend our time, and what excites us, inspires us, and gives us purpose as we create income, a livelihood, however we look at it. And so as I was coaching my clients, they would come to me for lifestyle upgrades, transformation with their health, their energy. And quickly it turned into, some of the root causes stemmed from how they were feeling about the work they were creating or the job that they currently had. And so we quickly shift gears, focused on that. They experienced incredible results. And as each of my clients who were in this area, this aspect of their life, as they experienced amazing results, they started bringing me in to coach their team or to facilitate workshops, retreats, offsites, things of that nature. So
Wow.
I never intended to start a leadership coaching business. It's just where my clients led me.
So literally, like they said, hey, leadership is the problem we're facing here. So you figure, well, I can help you with that. Let's go for it. I like that. Yeah. I like the fact that you didn't turn them down because some people would have done that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And for me, it was an easy transition or an easy segue because I had worked in corporate for 14 years. And one of the reasons I became an entrepreneur was, because of some of the things that my clients were experiencing, either unfulfilled, overwhelmed, just not feeling 100% in their purpose or in their passion. And it wasn't so much about the money. It was more about finding that purpose and passion. Because a lot of us, we spend 40 plus hours, devoted to work, a job, or what have you. So I could easily identify and empathize with my clients as well.
So pretty much you've been there because you've been in corporate, so you know how it is, you know how the system works, and so you know that if you find that problem, you know that there's more women going through the exact same problem as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it.
So we have so much in common. As much as we all think we're so different, which we are, we have probably just as many things as in common.
I completely agree. So you spent more than a decade working in the digital sector before taking the plunge into entrepreneurship with an online wellness solution network. So how did that transition happen for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's interesting, and I get a giggle out of it because, now I'm almost 48 and I've had a go. I've had a couple of almost 3 decades of experience. And, what I noticed is, working in tech, working in digital, I was with some very established high profile companies, and I got the opportunity to work with startups. And wow, what a total contrasting experience, Because with startups, there was, the freedom, the flexibility, and let me just give a chronological pin here. I think I fully transitioned out of corporate in 2014. So back then, even though it's only 8 years ago, it seems like a lifetime ago. But it was still a little hierarchical, and that old patriarchy of, I have this role, someone has
Mm-hmm.
a role above me, and it felt very restrictive and tight. And for someone like me, and this is one of the areas that I support my clients in connecting with, is understanding who I am and what lights me up so that I can find the opportunities, the work, the projects that are aligned with that. And what I started to notice is in that last corporate job, it was incredible, yet there were certain things, and then it turned out to be too many things that weren't aligned with who I am and what I wanted.
Mm.
And so at that juncture, I was also a soul cycle instructor. And so they had also offered me a full-time position being an instructor, which included relocating to Washington, D.C., which is where I currently live. And just so many things just started to unfold. So it wasn't a calculated, let me become an entrepreneur again, because Evolve, I think, is my fourth experience as an entrepreneur. Um, so it wasn't a calculated experience. It was more of just like with my clients, I was following the road, listening to myself, and just really, I was calling in and attracting opportunities that were speaking to me in the time.
So when the opportunity comes, you just take it and go with it.
Yeah, if it's aligned. I mean, I've had
It's
multiple
like,
opportunities come my way, and some of them I turn around and I'm like, oh, like the ones you want to almost kick yourself over. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah. And now, being where I am in my life, I understand that all of it was meant for a reason. If, I wasn't meant to be there or work with that person or on that team. But, when I think about certain companies, I'm like, oh my gosh, having some stock options in that company back in, 2008 or 2001, a financial game changer for sure. Yet clearly it wasn't my path.
So would you say that you are searching for that real purpose, for that passions of yours? And would you
Oh,
say that the leadership right now, this is it?
100%. Thank you. You said that so well. Because at the highest point or the highest peak of the work that my team and I create and hold space for our clients, whether it's one-on-one, in a group, with their team, or company-wide, leadership is always at the core. And really, we define leadership as how I am showing up and how I am in relationship with myself, with those that I work with, colleagues, and then in relationship with external factors. So, what's going on in my industry, what's going on with my peers at other companies, what's going on in my family, and really taking a look at how am I creating wins across the board. So, win for me, a win for you, a win for us all. And really,
Mm-hmm.
leadership is not about the results only. It's not about what you're doing. It's about what you're generating and causing in other people. And so that's why our work is rooted in transformational leadership, because in traditional leadership, it tends to be focused on results. What can I accomplish? What can I achieve? And when you step into transformational leadership, it's about what can we accomplish? What can we achieve? And what are my relationships like? So looking at what they are currently with myself, how do I relate and how am I oriented to myself with the people on my team or my family? This, a lot of our work, it doesn't just stay in the workplace because we know we're not.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, it's not like we send half of ourselves to work and stay home, even though there is an interesting show. I think it's on HBO. It's called Severance. Severance.
Heavens,
That
yeah.
kind of like has you think a little bit about that. Um, and it's about the relationships we have externally, like I said before, with the economy, politics, the stock price, if you're at a publicly traded company. and really how your results and your relationships are connected. Because in our work, we focus on emotional intelligence. So we actually care how people feel, and we care how you create feelings within other people. And so there's a lot of mindfulness and thoughtfulness in how we coach, and opening up that space for our clients to feel the same. So, a lot of our clients come to us because something isn't working. They're frustrated, or there's a gap in something, or they're just stuck. They've hit a point and they know they want more. They know they're capable of more, or their team. So it's either me or my team, however they're, whatever space they're in. And so we look at, the results, but we also have them look at how they're relating to the results. Because a really accelerated way to get what you want, to have what you want, is to understand where you are, understand how you're relating to people and how you're oriented to people, how that's working or not. And then to clearly define where it is you want to be instead. And to also know that there's nothing wrong or bad for you not being there yet. So just really focusing on the human aspect of leadership. So that's why we love working with people who want to bring their heart into the workplace, want to bring their heart into their business, and really share in that way and create results in that way.
I like that aspect because people, not just you pulling this team first, but also that leader also. You're making them feel like the people around them do have an effect into whatever you're doing every single day. So let's make sure that everything is aligned with one another. So I like that. It's I wish everyone else look at it that way though.
Yeah, because when we look at leadership, it's not about what you're doing. It's about how your people are feeling and how they are approaching their work. So it's not about having always, it is sometimes, but not always having the best talent, top talent. There are a lot of talented people that, wow, if they felt understood, they felt included, they felt they belonged, and they felt like they had a relationship with you, that you care about them as their leader, woo, we always see the results go up, productivity go up, engagement go up. And then all of that leads to increased profitability, which, I don't know any CEO who doesn't want that. I love that when it happens. And so it's leadership in looking at how am I causing and creating what's occurring? And if I like it, let's amplify it. If I don't like it or it's not working, what do I want instead? And then how do I bridge that gap? Not only through the results and the outcomes, but how I'm relating to my people, myself, and then the external factors that are specific to what's going on.
Exactly. So you also, you founded Evolve. So where you guide clients to, I love when you use that, to elevate to the next best level. So can you tell us more about the company?
Yeah, so we are it's so fun to do this because, we spent time on this as well. So we are a transformational leadership company. So we are a team of coaches, facilitators, and strategists. And then we also have some other people on the team that do great work behind the scenes. That really support us in being who we are to hold the space for who our clients want to be. And we facilitate our work either one-on-one, so you can work with one of us as a coach one-on-one on a specific goal, or whatever it is that you want to create within your leadership, your team. And we also work with next generation leaders, emerging leaders, or new entrepreneurs, because there's a lot of stuff going on in our mindset that kind of holds us back or slows us down from achieving and experiencing what it is we want. And then we also do team or group experiences. So workshops, retreats, offsites, panels, summits, town halls. We do them custom for teams. We have our signature off the shelf workshops and we're speakers as well. We get booked quite often for leadership engagements, corporate engagements, organizations, associations. And then as strategists, we also support our clients in either launching a people-centric program or transforming it. So if it is something, and the top two programs we do, or three, I should say, are coaching. So if your company doesn't have a formal coaching program that includes accountability, metrics, so that you're actually tracking and measuring results, structure and equity, we can support you in launching that, and we can support you in transforming it. If you're thinking we could create more, more results, bigger outcomes here, we support with that. And then the other two are DEI programs. So anything with diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's our wheelhouse on a transformational leadership level. So we are not the traditional team that will come in and do some of the basic stuff. And we can talk about more of that, and a little bit of that is on our website. And then the third is onboarding. So one of the things that we've seen over the years with our private clients, our one-on-one clients, and our corporate clients, is a lot of opportunity is missed in the onboarding experience. So companies spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources in hiring, attracting the best talent, pop them in, and then come 2 years later, they may not be performing at the level they could. Their potential may not be realized or actualized, or they may not feel like they belong or included. And that can come with a whole set of mindset issues that can lead to some detrimental outcomes. So really looking at how to elevate and amplify your onboarding process, because it is such a invaluable, however you want to look at that, moment in a person's experience with your company or on your team if you are an entrepreneur.
Wow. This is like a full package. So pretty much that you can go in for a short amount of time, but you can also go into that company for a long term, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a couple of clients where we're just on their roster of coaches. So we didn't launch, we didn't transform their program. We're just on their roster of coaches. So as their leaders come in for coaching, whether it's global leaders or executive leaders, whatever, senior leaders, we're on the list, and there's certain criteria, and they just pick and choose. And then there's long-term, engagements. And then there are just companies that also hire us for just a workshop or just a 2-day offsite. And we can just be as fundamental and foundational with that, or we can go customize the whole thing to create massive outcomes for you and your team.
But I'm curious to know that when you say onboarding, so when they are you meaning the new employees before they even start, or are we talking about like a year or two later?
Right when they start. Yeah. Because, in our eyes, the onboarding experience is 2 years. Like if you're really looking at it the way we see onboarding, and I know, if anybody from traditional HR is listening, they're like, 2 years. But it really is, because it is formally, it usually is a couple of days. And at companies that are, into human-centric or people-centric initiatives or leadership, it tends to be 6 months to 2 years that you're onboarding someone. And what also gets to take in account is the team. So this is now someone's being onboarded onto your team. This is now a new team. There's new dynamic there because somebody new is there. And especially when it's a new leader, which happened so often in 2020 and 2021. We coached so many new leaders, not new my first time being a leader, but seasoned leaders being the leader of a new team. And there was a lot, they were experiencing breakdowns, a lot of mindset issues within themselves because, we weren't with each other physically. So we were doing a lot. We were creating a lot virtually. And so there was that thrown in as well. So the external factors were high in 2020 and 2021, as we all know. But when we're onboarding, we also get to consider the team. So that's part of our transform onboarding experience as well, that we support as strategists, just tweaking certain things to consider as much as possible to maximize the lifespan of the person and to really explode their potential, have their potential be unlocked sooner than later. Because what we found is a lot of people, when we step into a new company specifically, and even when we step into a new role, if we were promoted internally, oh my gosh, does our inner critic come out and start saying some weird things to us. We start to think we're not good enough, or we come in hot. Some people I came in too strong and now I lost the confidence of the team. And these are all, nothing's wrong or bad with either of these. They're just moments when the onboarding process is laid out a little differently, that the leader or the new individual contributor can actually be mindful about and prepare, be ready, or consider in advance than it just happening. And don't get me wrong, things happen.
Things happen.
None of these things are perfected yet. They do cause some great outcomes.
But I think it's a good investment as well, especially if you if you're doing that investment in your leaders, as for a leader, especially going to manage a team and all these things. So I think that making sure everything is where they're supposed to be, I think that spending the money is worth it. But do you find that there are some companies that do hiring, for example, your company to come in to help coaching new hires, and then they don't work out or things like that, and before the 2 years?
Oh yeah. Wait, I might have misheard your question. We usually are not hired to coach new hires, usually. Because usually when a company is ready to invest in a coach, there is already a history there. Sure. Now, that's not always true. Yeah, and it also depends on how the coaching has already been laid out. Is it part of a formal development program? So to answer your question, yes, when there is a formal development program, we have been brought in to coach new hires. And I mean new hires after a year, not 6 months or 6 weeks in. Because it is a little counterintuitive for the hire, like the reasoning for the hire. But most of the leaders that we coach, they've been there, they're established, or they just elevated up to a new role, whether it's C-level, senior vice president, president, something like that, or their team just massively grew. Because again, we focus on results and relationships. So now there's a lot more relationships they get to consider, or how to leverage and delegate through relationships that are already existing to include and inspire, motivate, whatever we're looking to generate, the entire team.
Okay. So I think that's pretty much, if I'm understanding correctly, it's a little bit better for the company as well before making such a big investment in an employee that's probably not going to stay for a long time.
Yeah.
And you kind of give an idea.
Yeah. And usually the companies we work with, we don't necessarily work with contributors that are below a manager level, because we're speaking leadership. However, we work with companies that have hired us for emerging leadership programs, next generation leadership programs, whether we come in as speakers or we generate or create a workshop series, something like that. We also have online content for our clients and prospective clients to engage in, where you don't need to be in live relationship with us, whether it's video conferencing or in person. And you can, that some of them have assessments, all of them have exercises and tools, and they're video and, like a downloadable PDF worksheet type or file.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So you believe in using the people-centric approach to coach your clients. Why do you think a personal touch is important to help people achieve their goals?
Because it worked for me. And so, it's almost like, can you guarantee something or can you put your name on something? And most people say, yeah, because I've tried it. I liked it. I've received the results. And so for me, what shifted everything for me is when I started working with a coach. And to this day, I work with a coach. I have shifted the coaches over the years because I am, just like the name of the company, I have evolved since I've been an entrepreneur. And really, for me, the entrepreneur running the business was always the biggest challenge for me. It was never being the business, delivering the service, making a difference for people and their teams or their companies and their families. But it was always the business stuff that I'm like, oh, I don't like this stuff, or I'm not, I used to make up a story. I'm not good at it. And so with coaching, and I at one point I had multiple coaches because, I know the methodology behind it. I know the science, the art, all of it behind it. And I get how powerful it is to not work, create, generate by yourself. And I know sometimes when we rise up or, rise up a corporate ladder or as entrepreneurs, we tend to work a little too often by ourselves in our silo.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the great things I love about coaching is I get to talk to somebody honestly, freely, cry, celebrate, whatever it is. And really the person, when you have a great coach, they're never telling you or telling you what to do or giving you advice. They're simply holding a space for you to, find what it is that you want, for you to identify what it is that's holding you back. And, through these beautiful and just really thoughtful question series, when
Mm-hmm.
you find your own answer, you transform, change, shift, grow, elevate, develop, whatever you want to use so much faster, and it becomes sustainable because it's yours. When somebody tells you, gives you advice, you following someone else's system or, getting tips or tricks, it'll work. It has a chance of working, but it may not be sustainable because you're using somebody else's thought processy framework, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do that. Yet the massive shifts and transformations in my life are when I was guided by a coach to find what it was or what it is within myself, to find the answer myself, to be asked questions, to be challenged, to be stretched, to be supported, to be celebrated, all of that. That's one of the reasons why I believe coaching is so effective. And and for me as the coach, I can't get to my own stuff by myself. Because everyone's like, you're the coach. Why do you have a coach? I'm like, because I can't. It's challenging to do this for yourself, to hold space and bounce things off, hear it a different way, be with it a different way. And so I hope that answers your question.
Yes, that did. So, what are the challenges that you face while setting up your company?
Ooh, well, I told you a couple of them.
Yeah.
For me, it was never the mindset stuff. It was, for me, I was impatient because I had so much passion. I understood my purpose. I believed in myself so much. But when you're an entrepreneur, sometimes things take a minute or two, or a month or two, or a year or two. And I just wasn't being patient with myself. And some things, I have a personality style where if things are not going as fast or as, the way that I want them to go, I start doing new things. And so I had that shiny ball syndrome. It's called so many different things, but I was the one who, like, I wasn't being patient. So I would start something new, begin something new, learn something new, which all was fantastic. But that was one of my biggest challenges. So focusing, being consistent, and being patient were definitely in my gaps. And now today, one of the things I didn't realize until this past year, because I had a profound breakthrough in partnership. I was one of those entrepreneurs that thought I could do it all on my own. And, it's hilarious because I know how to code and design websites. Why? Because I was like, I could do that. Like, I could learn how to do that. And so partnership was one of my challenges. And it was because I hadn't gone all the way with my personal leadership transformation. And as I started to dive deeper into being coached around my own personal leadership, like digging into where my beliefs came from, digging into the stories that I make up, are they true? And if they're true or not, are they serving me? Or are they holding me back, making me feel like I'm confused rather than trusting myself, taking a leap or taking a risk or just making a decision? And so I would say those were my biggest challenges. And then really I wouldn't say a mistake, but one thing I would do just a little differently when I decided to move forward with Evolve, I literally ended all my one-on-one coaching engagements because I thought I need to create all this space for coaching and developing all these companies where I just was like, because all my clients, we renew, we continue the work. Some of my clients, we take time off to integrate, but they always want to create something else because of our methodology at Evolve. There's, once you get somewhere, there's going to be somewhere else you want to go next, which is great. That's what leadership is about. And so I was like, so when I look back on that, I would have stood in the both and. How can I continue my private practice and create space for the corporate clients? And that is what Evolve is today. We coach one-on-one private sessions, which they might also be known as, and then we coach on a corporate level, and facilitate, strategize, speak, whatever that mentor, whatever that might be in your neck of the woods.
Oh, I love it. I can listen to your story all day long. But if someone wanted to get your services, how do they go about it?
Yeah, our website is evolveeq.com. So it's a lot of E's. It's 4 E's. I know people are confused by that sometimes. And you can reach out to us anytime at leadership@evolveeq.com. We are also, you could follow me on LinkedIn. I spend a nice amount of time there. I haven't been there recently because we've been servicing our clients. I'm also on Instagram at Tiffany Houser, and that's how you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And on LinkedIn, our corporate page is also there. But the best thing is to go to our website or just to email us. You have questions, you want to know more. We are happy to create space because that's who we are as coaches. So even, companies that, call us or leaders who want to work with us, even in just that first call, they're like, wow, this generated so much value for me. Just finding out what you do and who you are, and not just me, and the company. So that's how you can find us.
So you also advocate for inclusion in the workplace. With changing dynamics, strategies do you think workplace can adopt to be more inclusive?
I think one of the biggest things that can swing a big door for inclusion is teamwork. So rather than companies approaching inclusion and belonging and safety from an organization level, approaching it team by team by team. That's what we discovered 2 years ago. And the results started popping and popping. So there's nothing wrong with an organization-wide initiative, and it's beautiful that it's part of your vision. Yet the effectiveness, the application of what they're learning, the tools, the resources, the concepts, the effectiveness and outcomes are much higher when you approach a team rather than your organization, and then identify, team by team, which are the top, what's the word I'm looking for? Ripple effect. So once this team is inclusive and everyone knows they belong, they're operating, we call it a culture of contribution when they're operating that way, that they have so many cross-functional business partners that this is just going to start to grow. And it's going to start to become part of the culture. So we support companies in identifying that team that swings the biggest door throughout the organization. And then they have results. So now you have an internal case study of inclusion, belonging, psychological safety, whatever it is we're looking to generate as a organization or a culture.
I have 2 questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
2 more questions. and the first one is, do you work just with corporate? I mean, big corporations, big business, or do you also help small businesses?
Yeah. We work with, I have one person, like entrepreneurs, that really want to dive into the mindset coaching and the performance coaching. We are the smallest company that we've ever worked with had 24 people, but private coaching one-on-one, we've worked with hundreds, who just either they work for a company, but they wanted to pay for it themselves. They wanted to invest in themselves, or an entrepreneur that wanted to generate a different result, a bigger result. And it's usually something in their mindset, because we're not business. We're not going to coach you on how to blow your business up. However, we do have something coming in 2023 around coaches and consultants who want to work with companies. We're going to be sharing some of our best practices in coaching in that way, and some of our business documents, if you will.
Okay, so pretty much it's from small businesses, which can be one entrepreneur, to corporate level. You can be there.
We go up to Fortune 200.
Awesome. So my last question for you is, what is your advice for businesswomen out there?
Oh, that's such a great question. I would go back to what I said was one of my challenges: be patient. And in that practice of patience is to get clear on your purpose, your reason, and as Simon Sinek would call it, your why. Because when you know this, no matter how slow it goes, what obstacle comes your way, you know why you get to keep going, why this matters to you, and more so, why it matters to the people that are going to hire you. Because that is also, let me throw that caveat in. When we focus too much on me, my results, my successes, my failures, we go far. Yet when we focus on our clients' results, their outcomes, we're going to go so much further. Take you out of the equation, focus out on them. And then I wouldn't say all, trust me, it's an evolution. We're still going. But a lot of the inner dialogue stuff starts to fade away when we focus on our clients, our family, our community, rather than me.
I don't have anything to add to that, because you said perfectly fine. Stop talking about me, and then focus on the why and your clients and the people around you. It's not just about you. I think it's the best advice ever.
No, thank you.
Well, thank you, Tiffany, for giving me that chance to have this conversation with you. I really enjoy it, and I love learning about your company and also yourself, how did you get here? So I really enjoyed learning that, and I think the listeners and readers will also enjoy listening and reading about it as well. If there's anything else you'd like to share with us before I let you go?
Just thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who's watching, listening. Keep going.
Thank Thank you, Tiffany, for taking the time to have this conversation with me. Let me know your thoughts about this episode with Tiffany. And to learn more about Tiffany and Evolve, visit www.evolveeq.com. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.